Hello friends, I'm Sanjay. In this series, I'm covering the business studies subject from the CBSE Class 12 syllabus. We will be following the standard NCERT textbook for the topics that we will be discussing. This is the fourth part of the series, and in this we will cover the fourth chapter, which is planning. In a previous video, when we covered the functions of management, we discussed about the 5 functions of management, which are POSDC, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. Management is a process, it never stops. But the first step in the process, that is the first step in management, is planning. Planning is deciding what is to be done, how it is to be done, and when it is to be done. Planning requires the setting of goals or targets, and then deciding the strategy as to how those goals or targets will be achieved. Let us quickly understand the concept of planning. Suppose a group of friends want to plan a holiday trip. The conversation could be something like this. Ritu says, "Hey all, let us go to Goa for the long weekend." Pawan says, "Sure, we will hire a car and make it a road trip." Aditi says, "If we take the Konkan route, we can stop at Gokarna beach for lunch." And Siddharth says, "We should start at 5 am and only then we can reach Goa by 11 pm. Planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do, and when to do. Let us go to Goa is what to do. Let us go by car is how to do. Going on the long weekend is when to do. Planning seeks to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to go. We are currently in Bengaluru and we want to go to Goa. So the entire plan is to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to go. Planning requires taking decisions, since it involves making a choice from alternative courses of action. Here there are two routes, a direct route which is shorter, or there is another longer route which will allow the group to stop at Gokarna beach for lunch. So at the planning stage itself, you need to decide which route to take. Therefore, planning involves setting the objectives and developing appropriate courses of action to achieve these objectives. Even when you are running a business and you want to do anything important, you need to have a plan. Suppose you own a textile and apparel company and you are already a market leader in India and you want to expand to sell your products in the European market. You first do some market surveys on the opportunities that are available and which ones you want to target. And you decide that you want to enter the European market through the casual wear and leisure wear segment. And you also decide that you will hire NIFT graduates to help design the apparel for your brand. And you set a goal that the first shipment should reach Europe by April of next year. Here, expanding to the European market is the what to do. Targeting the casual wear and leisure wear market and hiring NIFT designers to design the apparel for your brand is the how to do. The first shipment by next April is the timeline on when to do. You are currently the market leader in India, where you are, and you want to expand to Europe, which is where you want to go. You are taking a decision and making a choice from alternative courses of action when you decided that you will not go into the office wear or the formal wear segment and you will focus on the casual wear and leisure wear market. You are also taking a decision and making a choice when you decided that you will specifically hire NIFT graduates to design the apparel. Let us call this project Euro. And since you have set your objectives in terms of what to do, how to do, and when to do, you can create more detailed plans which will help you achieve these specific objectives. The next topic is what is the importance of planning. The textbook lists 6 points. Planning provides directions. It reduces the risks of uncertainty. It reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. It promotes innovative ideas. It facilitates decision making and establishes standards for controlling. We will cover each of these points in detail. The first point is planning provides directions. A plan provides a clear direction for action by stating in advance what is to be done, how and when it is to be done. In our Project Euro example, a high-level plan is that we are expanding to the European market and we will target the casual wear and leisure wear segments. And we have to send our first shipment by April of next year. This high-level plan can be used to set specific actions and timelines for the different departments. When should the HR department recruit the designers? When should the design portfolios be ready? When should the negotiations with the suppliers be completed? Finalization of the budget, demo or pilot batches of the products, finalizing the marketing strategy. When should the sales targets be finalized, and when should the production be started, etc. So the overall plan will define the objectives that the employees have to achieve as a team and also achieve as individuals. A plan makes it easier for the different individuals and the different departments to assign responsibilities and work in coordination. So a plan provides the directions for the organization to follow. The next point is planning reduces the risks of uncertainty. Now, planning provides a clear path for the organization to follow, and it can clarify responsibilities and timelines. If there is no plan, the design department will not know what to design. If there is no plan, the production department will not know when to start production. Planning can help the manager to look ahead and anticipate changes. When you originally decided on the plan to enter the European market, your legal team will start looking into the laws, the rules and the regulations to be followed. They inform you that from next year, Europe will impose some restrictions on garment imports to protect local manufacturers, which means that you may not be able to easily manufacture in India and export to Europe. So you can change your plans accordingly so that you will set up manufacturing units somewhere in Europe itself and send only the raw materials from India. In this way, planning can help you decide the preparation that is required and the actions to be performed to deal with any changes that will affect your plans. Planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. We have previously discussed that planning helps in coordinating the activities and the efforts of different divisions, departments and individuals, which means that planning helps in avoiding confusion and misunderstanding. Once a high-level plan is decided, the more detailed department level and individual level plans must also be finalized. In our project Euro, we have to send out our first batch of garments to Europe by April of next year. So the sales team will have to reach out to various importers, major retailers and major sports shops who sell casual and leisure wear. If there is no individual level detailed plan, then responsibilities are not clearly assigned. So there can be confusion on who is supposed to do what. It can so happen that all the 3 members in your sales team are trying to reach out to the same importer. This is an example of useless and redundant activity because only one person is required to talk to one importer at a time. If there is a clear plan, like Anita should contact A1 importers, Pratap will contact all the major retailers, and Divya will focus on major sports shops. This way, any overlapping and wasteful activities can be reduced or eliminated. The next point is planning promotes innovative ideas. When you create a plan, the management should not assume that they know everything. The team members, the salespeople, and even the factory workers are all much more closer to the ground and much more closer to how the products are made and sold. So from the planning stage itself, the management should set up a structured framework for creativity and innovation. It can be like rewards and incentives for innovative ideas, or brainstorming sessions for discussing creative ideas, or even competitions where everyone gets an opportunity to present their thoughts or present their ideas that can help the company in any way. For example, somebody in the finance team who is good with programming as a hobby may create a small game app which can be used to sell the company's apparel. Or someone from the HR team notices that more and more companies are asking employees to stop working from home and come back to office. So he presents an idea that the demand for office wear and outdoor wear will go up in the near future. And this has actually happened because when people were forced to work from home during the COVID lockdowns, some companies predicted that the demand for comfortable leisure wear and home wear would increase. And whoever made such apparel in time saw bumper sales. When people started returning to offices, some companies predicted that office wear would become more popular. Since people have not purchased formal wear for almost 2 years, whoever hit the market with good quality and reasonably priced office wear made very good profits. So, in this way, planning can directly and indirectly help in promoting innovative ideas and creativity within the company. The next point is planning facilitates decision making. One of the primary reasons why plans are made is to predict the future and make choices or to decide between different courses of action. If you are an apparel maker, then it may generally take you around a month to start making new products and get them into the market, which means that apparel companies have to plan at least a month into the future and predict what will sell and make products accordingly. For example, if the next season is winter, then the company can easily predict that people will prefer to buy thermals. Sales of thicker leisure wear pants and full sleeve t-shirts will increase. And the demand for shorts and half sleeve t-shirts and cotton pajamas will go down in winter, and existing stocks need to be sold at a discount. If the next season is summer, then shorts, half sleeve t-shirts and cotton pajamas will see a higher demand. In rainy season, people may prefer to buy quick dry apparel. So the company has to adjust their production and their sales targets based on future conditions. You cannot give aggressive sales targets in winter to sell cotton pajamas because you can predict that the demand will be low. Planning also helps in tackling outliers or special demands. Like if there is a cricketing event that is scheduled shortly, then you can predict that there will be a sudden demand for team t-shirts or t-shirts with slogans and logos. So, planning is very important for decision making. The sixth point in the importance of planning is planning establishes standards for controlling. Planning provides the goals or the targets against which the actual performance can be measured. By understanding the deviations and the reasons for the deviations, companies can take the required actions. Positive deviations can be encouraged and used to improve the overall management process. Negative deviations can be analyzed and corrective or preventive actions can be initiated. For example, in the planning phase for our Euro project, you would have set the goals or the targets that the sales for the project have to reach 20 million euros in the first quarter, that is in the first 3 months. So the target is 20 million euros and the schedule is by the end of the first quarter. But the management should not wait till the end of the first quarter to see the sales figures because by the time you cannot do anything. So controlling means that you will have to consistently track the progress of the sales against the targets on a weekly or a monthly basis. And here there is something that is going well. We should encourage whatever was being done at that time. Here the actual sales have dipped against the targets. So we will have to see what went wrong, take corrective action here and put in preventive measures to prevent such situations in the future. So a plan helps you set the standards, then you can measure the actual performance against the standards and you can control the process. The next topic is features of planning. The textbook mentions 7 important features of planning. Planning focuses on achieving objectives. Planning is a primary function of management. Planning is pervasive. Planning is continuous. Planning is futuristic. Planning involves decision making. And planning is a mental exercise. We will discuss all of these points in detail. When we discuss these points, you will see that there is an overlap or there are similarities between the features of planning and some of the points that we already covered under the importance of planning. This is quite natural because planning itself is a relatively simple concept. In your exam, if you mix up some of the points from features into importance or from importance into features, you will still be correct. So don't worry about that. Just understand these points and you can always explain them in your own words. The first feature of planning, as per the textbook, is planning focuses on achieving objectives. This is very simple to understand because we make any plan to achieve something. There is no other purpose for making a plan. It might be a very personal plan, like I plan to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning and go to the gym. It might be a small and a short term plan, like this weekend I want to go and watch a movie in a theater. Or it might be a long term plan, like you want to study for a few years and crack the civil services exam. Or it might be a business plan, like our Project Europe, where the objective is to expand into the European market. To achieve any significant objective, a plan is required. When it comes to organizations, they are established with a purpose. The basic purpose of a business is to survive and to generate profits. The objective of an NGO or a non-profit organization may be to render some services. At the highest level, there will be a strategic plan for achieving these objectives. The strategic objectives or the high level objectives are then broken into smaller goals and targets for the departments, teams, and individuals. At all levels, the management will create plans on how to achieve these goals and targets. Therefore, planning is an activity that focuses on achieving objectives. The second feature of planning is that it is the primary function of management. In the first chapter, we discussed that management is a continuous process, it never ends, and in a business, management will continue as long as the business exists. And the first step in the management process is planning. Once a plan is finalized by the management, it can be executed. The plan can be on what will be the goals and targets for the year, what kind of machinery or equipment to buy, or how many people are needed to be hired, and with what qualifications, etc. In your answers, you can expand on these 3 points. Any organization will need a clear set of objectives, goals, and targets to be able to function effectively. The management uses plans to decide and communicate the objectives, goals, and targets across the organization. And planning precedes all other functions of management. And therefore, planning is the primary function of management. Planning is pervasive. Pervasive simply means spread everywhere. Planning is pervasive means that planning is spread everywhere in the organization. In the first chapter, we discussed about the levels of management. The top management consists of the chairman, the CEO, COO, CFO, president or vice president, who may head the different functions of the organization like marketing, finance, operations. They decide on the objectives of the entire organization and they make the high level plans or the strategies for achieving the organization's objectives. The middle management consists of divisional, regional, branch or plant managers. They implement and manage the strategies which were developed by the top management. They make the plans which translate the objectives and strategies into goals and targets for their department, their division or branch. The operational management, like the foremen, supervisors and team leaders, interact directly with the staff or the workers. They translate the goals and the targets set by the middle management into deliverables that can be assigned to the staff or the workers. They use plans to assign and achieve these deliverables. And even the staff or the workers who make the products or actually deliver the service also make plans on how to complete the work that is assigned to them. Therefore, planning is required at all levels of the management and across all departments of the organization. The scope of the planning will depend on the level where the planning is being done and the department where it is being done. As we have previously discussed, management is a continuous process which is required as long as the organization exists. Planning is the first step in the process of management and it precedes all the other functions of management. Therefore, planning is also a continuous process that will also continue as long as the organization is functioning. Every year, there will be some high-level annual plans. Then there will be half-yearly plans, monthly plans, weekly plans, and there can also be daily plans at the ground level. The next year, the management will again create an annual plan, half-yearly, monthly, and weekly plans. And this cycle will continue. Therefore, planning is continuous. We have previously discussed that planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do, and when to do. It is not about what has already happened. Therefore, planning is done for the future. Planning involves looking ahead into the future. It involves predicting the future opportunities or challenges, such as the expected increase or the expected decrease in the demand for a product or a service. It involves deciding on the steps or actions that the organization should take to take advantage of the opportunity or tackle the challenge. For example, if you are running an appliance manufacturing company, you decide on what you should manufacture and you decide your pricing strategy depending on the season. If it is going to be winter in the next few months, you can predict that the demand for room heaters will increase. Therefore, you should manufacture more room heaters and stop making air conditioners. You can also liquidate your inventory or stock of air conditioners in winter by offering discounts. Otherwise, you will be left holding that stock till next year. A few months before summer, you predict that the demand for air conditioners is going to increase. Therefore, you start making air conditioners. And you will also start offering discounts and offers on room heaters because you can predict that the demand for room heaters is going to decrease. This way, planning is futuristic. The next point is planning involves decision making. Suppose your appliance manufacturing company can make either window air conditioners or split air conditioners. You need to decide which ones you are going to make or how many units of each type you are going to make. You can consider factors like the demand for each type, the profit margins in each type, or the competition in the market for each type. And you can then decide the best mix of products. You might want to make 20% window air conditioners and 80% split air conditioners. So planning requires taking decisions, since it involves making a choice from alternative courses of action. It involves evaluating the options and deciding the best one based on the situation. All human activities can be classified into either physical activities or mental activities. Physical activities are those where you are primarily doing something. Mental activities are those where you are primarily thinking about something. Now, how can we classify planning? Planning is primarily a mental activity because first you have to think and consider the various options or the alternatives and take some decisions. You can create a document to capture your plan, but that is secondary. The plan is first created in your mind and only then you can transfer it into a document or verbally explain it to somebody. So, planning is an intellectual activity that requires thinking rather than doing. Planning requires systematic and logical thinking because you need to start with where you are and then decide where you want to be and then think of the steps you need to take to achieve your objectives. Planning involves foresight, imagination and judgment because planning is all about anticipating the future and taking decisions based on foresight as to what might happen in the future. The next topic in the chapter is limitations of planning. Planning leads to rigidity. When you are building a house, you first create a plan and get it approved. Once the plan is approved, you have to construct as per that plan. You cannot just randomly build 3 floors instead of 2 or decide to make the rooms bigger. If you want any changes, you have to draft a new plan, get it approved and then proceed with the construction. A similar process needs to be followed even in organizations because once a plan is approved by the senior management and it is agreed with all the departments, every team is working as per that plan. Any one department cannot just decide to do things differently because what a single department does or doesn't do will affect other departments also. Even if the department wants to make some changes to the process, which will benefit the company, they will have to go back to the senior management. They will have to get those changes approved and the plans changed. And then all the departments will need to work as per the revised plan. So planning reduces flexibility in the organization, which means that planning leads to rigidity. Planning may not work in a dynamic environment. All companies operate in a dynamic environment, which means that their business environment keeps changing. Some companies may even work in extremely dynamic environments. For example, if you are a mutual fund company, the customers are routinely investing and taking out their funds. The market values of the shares that you are investing in keep changing almost second by second. In such dynamic environments, your plans may not always work as intended. Your plan may be to buy shares of company A at 100 rupees tomorrow morning. But when the market opens, the stock is trading at 150 rupees, in which case the plans that you made yesterday will no longer work and you have to keep changing your plans. So, planning may not always work in a dynamic environment. Planning reduces creativity. This is very similar to the first point, that planning leads to rigidity. When a plan is approved and agreed to by all the departments, it gets converted into targets, deliverables, and orders that need to be followed. Which means that employees or even managers in different departments cannot exercise any creativity in the way that they are doing things. For the overall plan to work, every department, every team, and every employee has to strictly follow the plan. Therefore, planning reduces creativity. Planning involves huge costs. In a large organization, planning can be a very elaborate exercise. All the senior management, the heads of all the departments, and all the managers may spend a lot of time in making plans, in reviewing plans, and in converting high-level plans into departmental or team-level plans. If the time and effort of the management is being taken up by too much planning, then it becomes a very costly affair. So, planning may involve huge costs. Planning is a time-consuming process. This is similar to the previous point. If the management spends a lot of time in creating elaborate plans, reviewing the plans, discussing the plans, waiting for approvals, etc., a lot of time may be consumed. Suppose a plan has to be executed in 1 month, but the top management approvals take 1 week, the middle management approvals take another week, and the preparation takes 1 more week. Then the actual time left for implementation is just 1 week. So planning can sometimes become a time-consuming process. Planning does not guarantee success. A good example of this is the New Coke experiment. For more than 100 years, Coca-Cola was using almost the same formula, maintaining the same taste. In 1985, the Coca-Cola management decided that a change was required. They made elaborate plans, they conducted user research, and created a new formula with a different taste. They did a lot of marketing and released the new Coke into the market. And within a month or so, they realized that their plan was not working out. Customers did not like the new Coke. They wanted the same old taste of the old Coke. And the new Coke was a failure. And around 3 months after the new Coke was released, the old Coke was again brought back into the market as Coca-Cola Classic. The new Coke was available for a few more years, but it never picked up in sales and it was eventually discontinued. This shows that even if a company spends a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money on creating and implementing a new plan, success cannot always be guaranteed. The next topic in the chapter is planning process. Here we will take a look at the different steps in the process of planning. There are 7 steps listed here, which are setting objectives, developing premises, identifying alternative courses of action, evaluating alternative courses, selecting an alternative, implementing the plan, and follow-up action. We will discuss each of these steps in a little detail. Setting objectives means deciding the high-level goals. The first step in any plan is deciding what do you want to achieve. Depending on which level the plan is being made at, the objectives may be for the entire organization, for a particular department, or it may even be a plan for an individual. Let us assume that you want to set up a telecom company, and your high-level objective for your organization is to become the largest mobile operator in India by 2030. This high-level objective is then converted into goals and targets for different departments, different teams, and different individuals. A premise is an assumption about the future, and a premise is the basis for a plan. So, developing premises means developing some assumptions about the future, on the basis of which you will make your plans. For your telecom company, the premises may be that India's telecom licensing process will not change much, so that too many players will not be able to enter the market easily, and also that the demand for mobile services will continue to grow. These two premises, that the demand will continue to grow and that new players will not come in easily because of licensing requirements, together mean that there will be a market for your services. And your plan to set up the telecom company is based on these two premises. And the premises can be internal. You are assuming that you will raise enough funds for the project. Or it can be external, where you are assuming that no new players will enter the market in the near future. Identifying alternative courses of action. There may be multiple options or multiple ways for completing any activity. Before you decide anything, all the options must be identified. For your telecom company's network, you have an option of using the current 5G technology, or you may want to use the new 6G technology. When Reliance Jio set up their network, they had the option of either going with 3G, which was already established by other players in India, or they could go with 4G, which was the new technology. Before you decide anything, you first have to identify all the alternative options or the alternative courses of action that are available to you. Once you have identified the options or the alternative courses of action that are available to you, you can evaluate them. You can consider the advantages and the disadvantages of each option. 5G technology is cheaper and it is already widely used, and it is supported by almost all the handsets currently sold in India. But just like 3G became outdated when the much faster 4G and 5G networks came up, 5G will also become outdated in the next couple of years when 6G networks come up. If you use 5G technology now, it will be cheaper and your network will be usable by everyone who already has a 5G phone. But it also means that you will be investing in older technology. 6G is much faster, but it is currently more expensive to set up a 6G network than a 5G network. And also, very few people may have 6G handsets at this time. So, you are evaluating the advantages and the disadvantages of the options or the alternative courses of action that are available to you. Selecting an alternative. After evaluating both the 5G and the 6G options, you decide to go with the 6G option. 6G is the future technology, so it will help you plan for a longer term. You can also deliver much faster services on the 6G network, which will definitely attract more users in the future. By going with 6G, you are also accepting the fact that growth in the immediate future will be slower. But your network will be ready when 6G handsets start coming into the market and start becoming popular in India. And because you are probably going to be the first company to use 6G in India, you may also negotiate for some early adopter discounts from the 6G network equipment makers. So you have evaluated the options and you have selected the alternative that best fits your plan. In fact, Jio used a similar strategy. When they rolled out the 4G voice over LTE services, many people were still using 3G mobiles. The fact that Jio started giving out free SIM cards and free data and free services for almost a year encouraged a lot of people to upgrade to 4G mobiles to take advantage of the free services. Implementing the plan is the next step. In the previous steps, you have decided what you want to do, how you want to do it, and by when. You have evaluated all the options and selected the option that best fits your plan. Now you have to implement that plan. For your mobile company, you will place orders with 6G network equipment providers. You will start to hire engineers and technicians to support the network. You will also start hiring senior marketing professionals to start building a marketing team. So you are implementing the plan. After you implement the plan, you have to monitor the plan and initiate follow-up action wherever required. You need to make sure that the network setup for your mobile company is progressing smoothly. Is the network equipment being delivered and installed on time? If there is a delay, or sometimes if the setup is happening faster than expected, then you may need to modify the timelines for other activities as required. Is the hiring of engineers and technicians happening on time? Otherwise, you may need to change your hiring strategy. Is the marketing plan ready? Otherwise, you may need to add extra resources. Follow-up action means monitoring the plan that you have implemented and taking action wherever required, if there are any deviations from your original plan. The next topic in this chapter is types of plans or the classification of plans. Plans can be classified on the basis of their lifespan, either as single-use plans or standing plans. Plans are also classified on the basis of their purpose. A plan can consist of objectives. It can be a strategy, a policy, a procedure, a method, or even a rule. A plan can also be a program, and even a budget is a type of plan. There is a connection between the first six, that is, objective, strategy, policy, procedure, method, and rule are in a kind of a hierarchy. Objectives are the highest level plans that may affect the entire organization, and the others go lower and lower till we come to a rule, which is very specific or focused. You will understand this better when we discuss each of these different classifications. Plans can be single-use plans or standing plans. Single-use plans are designed for specific one-time events or one-time projects only. Once the event or the project is completed, then the plan is no longer needed and is not used again. These plans are detailed and they focus on achieving a specific goal within a set time frame. Organizing a special event, a plan for building a new factory, a plan for releasing a new product into the market are some examples of single-use plans. Also, project plans, programs, and budgets are typically single-use plans. Standing plans are used for activities that occur repeatedly over time. They provide the guidelines and procedures that can be used whenever a certain situation arises. Standing plans help in ensuring consistency and efficiency in recurring tasks. Every time you need to hire a new employee, you can use the same generic recruitment plan. Every time you need to train a new employee, you can use the same generic training plan. And every time you need to conduct a meeting or a repeating event, then you can use a same generic meeting or event plan. Policies, procedures, methods, and rules are some examples of standing plans. Another good example of a standing plan is a building evacuation plan in case of a fire or any emergency. This plan is documented and periodic fire alarm evacuation drills are also conducted to ensure that everyone is aware of what to do. The idea behind the emergency evacuation plan is that every time there is an emergency or the fire alarm rings, the same predictable steps are carried out by everyone. The first step in planning is setting objectives. Objectives are statements of where we are and where we want to go. That is, what the organization needs to achieve. Typically, objectives refer to the highest organizational level plans that are decided by the top management. Objectives set by the middle level managers or the operational managers are referred to as targets or goals. So here, objectives refer to the organizational goals. Objectives must be clear and specific. An objective cannot just say, let us build a better organization. What do you mean by better organization? Better in sales or better in customer service or better in profits? A clear and specific objective can be, we need to increase our revenues to touch 1000 crores in the new financial year. Objectives must be measurable. Building a better organization is not measurable, but increasing profit margins to 20% or increasing revenues to 1000 crores can be tracked and measured. And objectives must be achievable within a specific time period. Our revenues should touch 1000 crores is a clear objective, but there should be a timeline. 1000 crores by the end of the next financial year is a clear timeline. Objectives are important because all the activities within the organization are focused on achieving the organizational objectives. Once you have decided the organization's objectives, you will need to have a strategy to achieve those objectives. So, a strategy can be defined as a high-level plan for achieving the objectives of the organization. Strategies are not short-term. They usually span or stretch across several years. They involve setting priorities, allocating resources, and making decisions. Another simpler way of understanding a strategy is that if the objectives set the destination for the organization, the strategy decides the route to be taken. For example, both the Lexus and Toyota are brands owned by the Toyota Group. The objective of both the companies is to grow and to make profits. But the strategy followed by these two companies is different. Lexus follows a strategy of targeting only the premium and luxury car segment, whereas Toyota's strategy is to focus on the normal, mid-range and budget car segment. Before we talk about the definition of policy, let me give you an example. When you go to buy anything on Amazon, you will see that they have a return policy, which classifies products into three categories. The first category consists of products that are clearly non-returnable. You buy the product and if it doesn't work or it is dead on arrival, then you need to contact the manufacturer to claim warranty. For products that are returnable, they have a detailed return policy. The standard return period for all returnable products is 7 days. For some products, there are specific reasons for which returns will be accepted, like it is damaged, it is defective, or wrong items have been sent, or something is missing with the item. Here, the return policy clearly states replacement, which means that you will not get a refund. You will just get a replacement of the same product. For some products, the return policy is full refund. You can return these products within 7 days for any reason. By having such clear return policies and displaying them on the product page, customers are being given some additional information that they may need to make the purchase decision. The return policy makes it clear to the buyer what to expect when they make the purchase. The policy also makes it clear to the customer service associates on how to deal with a situation where a customer is trying to return something. As we saw in the Amazon returns policy example, policies are guidelines that an organization establishes to govern its actions and decisions. Companies can have purchase policies like we will purchase from certified vendors only. They can have sales policies like Apple does, where they never offer discounts on current products unless they are going to be replaced shortly by newer products. Equal opportunity policy, attendance policy, and these days many companies even have social media policies, which clearly specify that employees should not post anything related to their work without prior permission from the company. So, policies provide a framework for how things should be done within the organization. They help in ensuring consistency, fairness, and compliance with laws and regulations. They help everyone in the organization to understand what is expected of them in terms of their action or behavior. And policies also help in guiding everyone in the organization on how to handle various situations. Let us now talk about procedures. Again, if you look at the Amazon returns or replacement policy, they have given detailed step-by-step instructions on how to schedule a return for a refund or for a replacement. How to schedule a return if you are using their app, or how to do it from their website. These step-by-step instructions are nothing but procedures. So, procedures are step-by-step instructions for carrying out routine activities. They detail the exact manner in which the work or the activity is to be carried out. The steps or the instructions are given in a chronological order. That is, this is the first step, this is the second step, etc. The result of a procedure is predetermined. That is, you already know what will be the outcome. And procedures and policies are interlinked. And the link is that procedures are the steps to be followed to implement a policy. In our example, the procedure for a refund and the procedure for a replacement are how the returns policy is implemented. Next, we can talk about methods. A method deals with a single task, which may be one step in a procedure. In our Amazon returns example, there is a procedure given about how to schedule a return pickup. That procedure consists of several tasks, such as how to pack the product for return, what to do if there are any return pickup issues, and if you have to send it back yourself by courier, what are the self-shipping guidelines. So these are the methods that address the specific tasks in the overall procedure. To understand it better, look at this hierarchy. The organization has some objectives. The management makes strategies to achieve the objectives. There will be policies under each strategy, which are guidelines on how the organization will do things. These policies are implemented through one or more procedures, and each procedure may have a single or multiple steps, and each step under the procedure is covered under one method. Rules are quite simple to understand because they are like specific statements that inform what is to be done or not done. A stop sign is a rule that is telling motor vehicle users to stop. A one-way sign is telling motor vehicle users not to enter the road from that direction. Now, rules don't allow for any flexibility or discretion. A rule is a rule which has to be followed. If a rule is not mandatory, then it will become a suggestion and it is not a rule anymore. In our Amazon example, the returns process includes some rules. Pickup will be attempted between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. You cannot say come before 6 or come after 11 because the rule is that the pickup will happen between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Another rule is that the return pickup will be done from the same address where the product was originally delivered. You cannot ask them to collect it from a different location. Rules are the simplest form of plans because they are usually just one or two statements and they remain constant unless the policy itself is changed, in which case the procedures, the methods and the rules under that policy may also change. The next type of plan is a program. The spelling can be with MME or with just an M. This is the spelling used in British English and this is the spelling used in American English, and both are correct. A program is a set of related projects or related activities designed to achieve a specific common goal or a set of related objectives. So a program plan consists of several project plans. For example, the government runs a public health program and this program has several different plans under it. Plans to conduct vaccination drives, plans to run health awareness campaigns, and plans to build healthcare infrastructure like clinics and hospitals. The reason for the program is that all these plans have a common or a related objectives. All of them are intended to improve public health. A program can help in sharing common resources across multiple projects or multiple plans and in achieving the common objectives. For example, when doctors go on vaccination drives, they can also conduct health awareness campaigns, and the healthcare infrastructure like clinics can be designed to be used for vaccination drives and health awareness campaigns. And all the three projects or all the three plans can be monitored by the same Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So you just have to remember these two diagrams. A program consists of two or more projects. Therefore, a program plan will have the plans for two or more projects. The last type of plan in this chapter is a budget. A budget is simply a financial plan. It presents the expected inflow and outflow of financial resources. For example, a young person working in some company creates a monthly budget for himself or herself. The take-home salary and interest from FDs are the income which add up to 93,000. And after all the monthly expenses, the savings or the investments per month are 18,400. If the objective of the person is to buy the latest iPhone, this monthly savings amount will show how many months the person will have to wait. If the person wants to buy the phone sooner, then the budget will also help in identifying where the expenses can be reduced or eliminated so that the savings are increased. Rent, water, electricity, gas, mobile are essentials and they are fixed amounts, so nothing can be done here. EMIs are also fixed and mandatory, so nothing can be done here as well. The person can stop discretionary expenses like Netflix or Hotstar, stop ordering from Swiggy or Zomato frequently, and cut down on miscellaneous shopping. The person can also consider taking public transport and reduce petrol expenses or move to a cheaper Wi-Fi plan. Similarly, a budget can help organizations in understanding where the money is coming from and where it is going, and how financial resources can be managed. Companies can have different types of budgets. Operating budgets, which track the day-to-day expenses and the revenues of the organization. Capital budget, which tracks plans for long-term investments in assets like purchase of equipment, buildings, or infrastructure. Cash flow budget, which tracks the inflows and the outflows of cash to ensure liquidity. And the master budget, which combines all the individual budgets into one comprehensive plan. So this is a budget. And with that, we have completed this chapter. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment under this video. We will cover the next chapter in the next video. Take care and Jai Hind.